creme of the core. We have Luda, we have Adam, we have Ankaj. As we go through our 6 articles today to keep you up to date, ranging from everything from how to manage AWS better to why sex workers are getting beaten down by virtual sex workers because of the ad restrictions on Meta. So that's where we're headed. Ankaj, can you start us off with the first article, please?
Sure, John. So the first one that we have for today is from the Wall Street Journal, and it talks about how AI startups, they have plenty of cash, but they don't have plenty of business yet.
All right. Luda, you have a chance to look at this one?
Yes. There's nothing really new about this in this article, but it is a step back and looking at what has been happening with funding and revenue in the GenAI space. So it's not a long read. So I was vacillating between optional and important, and it might be worth putting it as important for the folks to take a look, because it's true we're in a very big bubble, and it's true that it's tough to get the revenue in the Gen AI. Some have it, some don't, and there are reasons for it, right? So it's a good summary, I thought.
All right, Adam, where are you?
Yeah, I was about the same. I was leaning towards optional. I just felt it told a bunch of cautionary tales, but didn't really give me much more to work with. But at the same time, to Luda's point, I could absolutely be convinced it's important. It is a short read, and it's fairly information dense for what it provides.
Yeah, I usually go heavy against these kind of backlash articles, if you will. But this one, this isn't a lazy backlash article. This one actually has some discussion of who the companies are, what kind of funding, the difficulties they have. To your point, Adam, there's actual meat here. All right, so let's give it an importance, something that our ad leaders should pay attention to, because they want to get blindsided. They go into a meeting and say, "Hey, did you see the Wall Street Journal article? This is all a bunch of hooey," and they need to be prepared and armed, and we have to be mindful of what real demand is. Okay, important. Akash, next.
Okay. So the next one is from Siemens. So they have launched an industrial co-pilot.
All right, Mentis, what are we looking at here?
Love it. You called me Mentis. Must be early. Haven't heard that from you in a while. Yeah, look, I used to work, I was IT operations manager over at Melbourne Water. So along with IT, we have a lot of OT, right? The operational technologies, and they are outdated. And you would not get the benefit of something like Microsoft's Copilot being leveraged in a lot of those systems. So when I saw in here that you're going to be able to code faster for PLCs, my ears did perk up a little bit. Generally, I would say, PLCs, look, another person.
Just PLCs are
programmable logic controllers. Right. Yeah, it's right there on the screen. That's why I didn't spell it out.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Yeah, so those are when you have these operational technologies, they're often using very old systems to control the physical devices that are going into these devices. And so when I saw that, I thought, this is more than just another company that's adding some large language models into their system. It's really breaking into an area that is very outdated and very much in need of this sort of technology. Generally, a news of another company adding some Gen AI to their technology, I'd say, was optional. But in this case, and given the number of industrial systems that are out there, I would push it over the edge into some important news.
All right, we got an important. What do you think, Luda?
Yeah, for the manufacturing space, this is important. Okay. It might be worth putting essential on this. Let's talk about it. And I'm very impressed with Siemens, because versus the other trends like the SaaS and other prior trends, they didn't jump on the bandwagon early and were laggers somewhat. In this case, they were very proactive, and they built the infrastructure to really help the players in the manufacturing space and industrial applications. So I feel when these guys move, and with these tools, they're likely to move faster.
Yeah.
I feel this is a mover. So it's between important and essential for me.
Yeah, I was coming down between important and essential, maybe toward essential. This whole area that, and plus, there's so much of the profitability of a lot of industrial products is in use, not in manufacture. So the idea of them being able to improve the use relationship going forward, and also like the comedian said, you got to watch the Germans. They took on the whole world twice and almost won both times. I mean, come on, the one little country. So yes, I think we'll go for essential on this as we get the first major, industrial company to put this right in the, PLC and machine management, which I think is going to be incredibly powerful. All right, Ankash, let's give that an essential. We're going to pop out to the E category. Now we're on to Yelp. All right, Yelp's new assistant.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, Yelp is launching a new assistant which can help you as a chatbot to better connect with different businesses.
Yeah, I thought this article, if you get a lot of demand through Yelp, it's essential. For most folks, it's, I think, I put it as optional. But it's really going to, like the use of AI in search. How the AI actually reflects your business or your message or whatever in the context of people finding you is going to be incredibly important. We're going to see that later in the sex worker article. But yeah, I think I would say right now is optional. But if you get demand from Yelp, it's essential. But what did you think, Adam, on this one?
I put it as optional, but I was tempted to say it's important. I mean, Yelp is big in business, right? And it's in some ways them moving into a new aspect of their business as well.
Yeah.
Because generally I think of Yelp as ratings and reviews,
Right.
And now they're almost going to start competing with things like Upwork, right, and Fiverr and those sorts of things, because people will go on there and they'll be able to find the businesses they need for their projects and for their businesses. So it's almost like they're moving into a sort of a B2B matching model, which could end up playing out as a very significant player in that space. But it's kind of a wait and see. So I was on the fence.
All righty, Luda, where are you on this?
Yeah, I'm tempted to put important on it.
Okay.
It's in a sense, it's competitor to Google, right? In the search space, when they're trying to use AI in search and giving you the summary, the Yelp is going a step further, and that is providing the content of the place and selecting menus and giving you advice. So it's a B2C and B2B play, I think, for Yelp, and going step deeper than Google does. So I think it can be important.
All right, and we had Kevin Petrie on as well, and Michael. Hello, good morning. Yeah, let's go for important. B2C and B2B. Yelp moving, horizontally into assistance and matchmaking and everything. Who knows? And they obviously have a huge brand and following. All right, we're going for important. We're rocking this morning. What's next, Ankaj?
Yeah. So the next one is from Amazon. So Amazon has expanded its enterprise AI play with wider availability of Q chatbot. So Q is now available to all enterprises, and Amazon is also making a play for similar to the Microsoft GitHub announcement that we had yesterday. So this is also really useful for anyone who wants to go for coding.
Yeah, and I don't know if folks followed. Amazon just blew out at a blowout quarter. They announced yesterday. I think they're doing real well here. Luda, what do you think? News or snooze?
Snooze. I rated it optional. Yeah, it's valuable for the people using it, and yeah, it seems like good functionality, but we knew about it. It's no real news. It's
No.
just getting it out there. So for me, it's optional.
Optional. All right. Adam, I think you rated this baby as on the border or important, yes?
Yeah, I think I would probably go optional as well. It is it's really just a wider availability of something that they already announced. And in some ways it's significant because they're trying to keep up with Azure and Microsoft from a competitive perspective, but it's incremental growth in a market that has a few big players. Obviously, if you're an AWS shop, this is important for you to pay attention to. But I expect you probably, for our broader audience, it's optional.
All right. Michael's making the case here for expected, but at least important, maybe essential. I guess there's so many people running on this. Yeah, Michael, okay, let's give it an important because important is still discretionary. I almost dug into the little thing on the right hand side that Ankash has here, which is the most popular is Elon Musk is absolutely hardcore in another round of Tesla layoffs. I will say you have to have a lot of confidence to ask for a $50 billion raise and do massive layoffs. That man has confidence.
I remembered one thing, which I think is why I was on the fence and leaning towards important.
Yes.
Which is that it can actually, where is it there? It can autonomously perform tasks like spinning up new code, right?
Yes.
And we were talking even, I think it was earlier this week, about agentic systems.
Yes.
And what was going on with Copilot, not just being able to modify an existing project but start a new project.
Yeah.
And that was a functionality that they added to this ahead of the general availability. So maybe it isn't just incremental and it isn't just a wider release. They've put some new capabilities in there, and under the hood, they may prove out to be significant. So
all right. Well, I have this image of the agent for Adam pushing this over into up higher into important. All right, we're going for important because the agent push. All right, Ankaj, next.
Okay, so the next one is around how ads for explicit AI girlfriends are swarming Facebook and Instagram, and this is because of somewhere the Llama 3 model as well, or the chatbot that Meta has launched on its social platforms.
Awesome. And then we have commentary by the Sex Worker and Pole Dancers Association, which is one I don't happen to belong to, didn't know was out there. Adam, what do you think on this one?
Interesting news. Not too expected when you think about how much money there is in this from an opportunity perspective. This is probably optional, but it is interesting how they showcase the double standard between the virtual sex workers and the actual real sex workers, and in terms of how it's being policed and how the policies are being applied.
Yeah.
But generally, look, this is a big problem, and they need to get out in front of it because it's out of control right now. And as Ankaj alluded to, as these open source models get more sophisticated, there's more capability for both image and text generation that doesn't have the kind of guidelines you get from someone like OpenAI. So
yeah,
it's a big problem, but I think this is optional news.
Got it. Luda, what do you think?
Yeah, it's optional news. And I do think it reflects how these platforms have been monitoring the sex workers, the real ones, right? And didn't have as much of the capability to monitor the digital ones, so the virtual ones. So I think they will catch on. And it's a really good article for that reason, but it's optional for me.
Yeah, I thought it was well done. Yeah, I'm going to rate it as optional as well. I do think it's interesting for anybody interested in marketing. Adam and I were talking before. I do believe that leading practice is porn and politics. So if you really want to understand where marketing is going, I think you look at porn and politics. But this notion of how virtual workers are going to be the hook in, and then it's interesting from a data and privacy standpoint. It'll be funky. I know that we did a bunch of stuff when I was a consultant with the healthcare companies, and there's all this stuff around like when is the data cached, when is it exposed, and so forth. And I imagine we're going to get with these agentic systems, it's going to be really interesting to see even how you implement policy. If you have a pointer to something, which then in a different environment, turns into something illegal, right? But I think this is more straightforward. This is just ad policies not happening. So optional, interesting, even titillating for some, but important it's not. All right, Ankash, next.
Next one is a research paper titled Dress Code,
Yeah.
and it talks about how you can generate garments from text guidance. So
Yeah.
I was excited about this because I have a feeling that it will save me from multiple trials at various shops when buying clothes in
Awesome.
near future.
That's great. Yeah. No, I thought I was looking at this one. I thought this was optional, but man, so much fun, right? And I was thinking Project Runway. I mean, all these reality TV shows. I can't wait to see the Project Runway with AI assistance, right? That your ability for as a young designer or
Hey,
inexperienced.
Ankash, can you click on View PDF there and just maybe show a couple of the visuals in it, because the document actually has some pretty good graphics, which should come up pretty quickly there. I agree it's optional, but it's pretty cool. As you scroll down, you'll see some of the workflows and some of the logic that goes behind how this thing's literally stitching and compositing garment using almost like a garment-based language model. It's wild.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, Adam and I were talking about a paper I'm working on about computable reality. And I think here's a perfectly good example, right? That now that we have a computable model of clothing, there's all this stuff we can do in terms of planning, substitution, as you say, Ankash, virtually trying things on. It's just, anyway. Luda, what do you think?
Well, if it was focused, so it is focused on digital agents, right? And putting garments for them. If it was focused on real humans and the application of you want to order a garment from Amazon and you can't figure out whether it would be good or not, right? And it's still not there. There were so many tries and so far it hasn't happened. So if this can be focused on that application, I think this can be a real killer, and it might be like essential. But for this is optional for me.
Yeah, I thought my misunderstanding. I only read the synopsis, but my understanding is that this is for actual creation of new garments. So it's planning a garment that then gives you a physical, I forget what they call them, cut pattern, which you then can make the garment with. So I think it's about humans and it's about manufacturing.
Right, but it's about the new garment. You're right. It's sewing, right? It's not about here's an existing garment and here's an existing John, right? And he wants to try the shirt. This doesn't do it, and it's too bad because that's a real good application for that.
Yes, but yeah, yes. I think we start off in the wrong place. It's not about trying stuff on. It's about building new product.
Yeah.
All right, but still optional. Interesting. Good example for computability, which I will pick up and use later. All right. Let's see. We got to put the tote board up here. Ankash. All right. We got A-I-E-I-I-O-O. All right. AI startups, plenty of cash, important, so you don't get blindsided by the naysayer in your management team who's going to smack you at this Wall Street Journal thing. Siemens Xcelerator, first time, as they say, off the carpet and onto the concrete as we get into numeric process control and other activities on the shop floor, the manufacturing floor. Yelp and Amazon, both big providers, having new AI capability. And then titillating, interesting AI explicit porn and its advertising, as well as building new dresses. If you are that kind of person who builds them, you really should be looking at this new capability to design your own new stuff. All right. So there we have it for today. Anything important to announce for our audience here, Adam or Luda?
No.
Adam, anything?
Just the reminder, as always, I'll drop the link in the comments there. If anyone wants to get the daily email with these ratings as well as the rationale, It's a
Awesome.
great way to keep on the news and know what's worth your time to take a look at.
And I would like to thank Michael and Kevin for participating. That's
as always.
really useful. Thank you.
As always. All right, everybody. Goodbye from GAI Insights. See you tomorrow morning, early or late, depending upon where on the planet you're watching this. Thank you.